try to explain away through planets of course.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone. In here, our group will present about developmental psychology. There's a 4-member in our group. My name is Heva, and next is Safa El Zahra, and there's Sinta Mutiara Sani and Asifa Regina. Next slide. Next slide, I will tell you about the topic of discussion. Some key theories in developmental psychology. There's 1. Definition of developmental psychology. Second is Piaget's stage of cognitive development. Third is Bowlby attachment theory. Fourth is Boris ecological system theory. Next slide, I will tell you about the definition. Developmental psychology is a branch of psychology that studies the physical, emotional, social, and cognitive change that occur throughout human life. This aims to understand how people develop from infancy to old age and what factors influence this developmental process. The text is describing developmental psychology, which is a field of psychology that focuses on how people change and grow over their entire life. This includes understanding how we develop physically, or our bodies, emotionally, our feelings, socially, our relationship, and cognitively, our thinking and learning abilities. Developmental psychologists study how these changes happen from when we are infants, through our childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and into old age, as well as the factors that can influence or shape this stage of development. Physically refers to anything related to the body and its growth or change over time. In developmental psychology, studying physical developmental means looking at how a person's body grow and change throughout life. This includes aspects like height, weight, motor skill, like crawling, walking, and coordination, and other bodily functions that develop as people age. Developmental psychology is a branch psychology that studies the physical, emotional, and social and cognitive change. Developmental psychology have a history. The history is began in the late 9th and early 20th centuries. One early figure was G. Stanley Hall, often referred to as the father of child development psychology, for his contribution in examining behavioral change in children. Later, figures Sigmund Freud introduced more complex theories. And there's some key theories in developmental psychology. One is Piaget's stage of cognitive development, Erikson's psychosocial development theory, Bandura's social learning theory, and Bowlby attachment theory. Application of development psychology. These help educators, psychologists, and parents understand the needs of individuals at each stage of life. The example of developmental psychology in real-life situation. One is infancy or attachment development is a mother consistently responding to her baby cries, create a secure attachment bond. And middle childhood cognitive development is an 8-year-old begins understanding that water poured into a taller, thinner glass doesn't mean there's more water compared to when it was a shorter or wider glass. Some of example highlight how developmental psychology explain behavior, thoughts, and emotion across different life stages, providing insight into the ways people grow and adapt throughout their life. The next theories will be explained by my friend Safa El Zahra.
First, we will talk about Jean Piaget theory. The theory of cognitive. Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist known for his theory of cognitive development in children. According to Piaget, children progress through 4 distinct stages of cognitive development, each with unique characteristics in how they understand the world. But first, Jean Piaget cognitive theory is one of the most well-known and widely used theories in children development psychology. Jean Piaget cognitive development theory is a fundamental framework that provides a detailed explanation of how children acquire knowledge and develop their thinking abilities over time. And he divided the stage of psychologist's development of children into 4 stages. First is sensory motor. In this stage, cognitive development is heavily influenced by direct sensory experiences and physical interactions. Infants learn about their environment through action and like grasping, biting, or exploring objects around them. By the end of the stage, they begin to understand the concept of object permanence, meaning they realize that objects still exist even when they are out of sight. For example, a baby searching for a hidden toy instead of forgetting about it demonstrates object permanence. Second is pre-operational. In this stage, children begin to developing symbolic thinking and language. They can use words or image to represent objects, though their thinking is still largely egocentric. They have difficulty seeing things from other perspectives. Their thought process is intuitive rather than logical. For example, a child might use a stick as a magic wand during play, showcasing symbolic thinking. Next stage is concrete operational. In this stage, children start to understand basic logic and rules about the world, but they are still limited to tangible physical objects. They begin to grasp concepts like conservation, for example, realizing that the volume of water remaining the same even if they pour it into different shaped containers, and then classify objects according to multiple attributes. For example, as like I said before, when a child poured water into another container, they will think like, oh, it still have same volume, or something like that. Next is formal operation. At this stage, adults develop the ability to think abstractly, logically, and systematically. They can consider complex ideas like ethics, politics, and philosophy. They are also able to plan the future, test hypotheses, and think scientifically. For example, adults can hypothesize outcomes of experiment and consider complex questions like implication or climate change. And for implication, Piaget's story has significantly influenced teaching methods. First, learning through discovery. 2, stage-appropriate teaching. 3, collaboration and building an existing knowledge. Maybe that for me.
Okay, on this slide, I will discuss with you about John Bowlby's theory, the theory of attachment. Attachment theory is the term first introduced by John Bowlby. John Bowlby was a psychiatrist and psychoanalyst in England. He was born in London and passed away in Scotland. He studied at the University of Cambridge. Bowlby became the head of the children department at Tavistock Clinic in London, where he was inspired to research the emotional disturbances experienced where children relate to mother-child relationship and then development. Uh, this theory attempts to explain the pattern of parent-child relationship that began in infancy. It serves as an important foundation for understanding how early relationships are formed. Attachment is a unique behavior in a human, characterized by the tendency and desire of an individual to seek closeness with others and find satisfaction in relationship with them. When the children seek closeness, they are also looking for fulfillment in those relationships. This attachment is not only crucial for a child's emotional, but also shapes how they interact with others throughout their life. And on the next slide, we'll be also talk about 4 phases of attachment development. The first phase happens from birth to 3 months. During this time, babies respond to people in a general way and don't really tell one person from another. And in the second phase, which lasts from 3 to 6 months, um, babies start to focus on familiar faces. They become more interested in their family and the people they see regularly. And the next slide is a third phase is from 6 months to 3 years, when kids form strong attachment and actively closeness with their caregivers. They might feel anxious when they part and want to stay near those they trust. And finally, the fourth phase. The fourth phase starts around age 3 and goes until the end of childhood. In this stage, children begin to develop friendship, learning how to interact with their peers and create more complex social connections. And so, from the explanation of attachment theory and the 4 phases, we can see how attachment patterns develop over time and play an important role in the child's future social relationships. That's all from me. Thank you.
For this slide, we will talk about Uri Bronfenbrenner theory, the ecological system theory. Ecological theory emphasizes the influence of the environment on individual development, explaining the interaction between learners and their environment. Ecological theory, a prominent framework in developmental psychology, posits that an individual's growth and development are intricately intertwined with their surrounding environment. This theory goes beyond simply acknowledging the environment's presence and delves into the dynamic interplay between learners and their contextual factors. It emphasizes that individuals are not passive recipients of environmental influences but actively engaged with their surroundings. Next slide. This interaction, according to ecological theory, occurs across multiple levels, encompassing the intermediate microsystem. The immediate environment such as family, school, and friends. The 2 mesosystem, the interaction between several microsystems, such as the relationship between friends and academic performance. Next slide. Number 3, ecosystem, social structures that influence individual development, such as the media and government policies. Number 4, microsystem, societal norms that influence individual development, including cultural values and economic systems. Next slide. Chronosystem, change in an individual's life that can affect development, such as the experience of pandemic. From Berners ecological system theory, Berners ecological system theory offers a valuable framework for understanding child development, but it also presents some limitations. For benefits, number one, widely accepted framework. The theory is widely accepted and used by researchers and practitioners and a comprehensive model for understanding the complex influences on child development. Number two, holistic approach. It offers a holistic perspective by encompassing multiple interconnected systems, including the child's immediate environment, interaction between this environment, broader social structure, and cultural values. This emphasizes the interconnectedness of various factors influencing and child growth. For the negative aspect, number one, limited research of mesosystem. While the theory acknowledges the importance of the mesosystem, there is limited empirical research specifically focused on the interactions between different microsystems. This lack of research makes it difficult to fully understand and assess the impact of these interactions and of child development. Number two, difficulty in empirical testing. The theory's complexity and the interconnectedness of this system make it challenging to empirically test and prove causal relationships between specific elements and developmental outcomes. This limitation make it difficult to definitively establish the theory's predictive power. Thank you.
To wrap up, I would like to thank you all for your attention and participation. I hope the point we have shared today have been
I
insightful.
try to explain